If you're a real estate agent and you've been wanting to expand your business, get new clients, maybe switch from maybe an older school way of getting clients, referrals, and you want to start tapping into YouTube, social media, this is going to be a great conversation because I'm here with Malcolm Lawson, who is a master of YouTube and has used that to build up his business as a real estate agent. So Malcolm, I appreciate you hopping on the call and sharing your secrets.
Yeah, Jonathan, absolutely, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I could talk about YouTube all day. Yeah, where would you like me to start?
I know that you had spent quite a bit of time as a YouTuber prior to becoming a real estate agent. You then took those skills, applied it to being a real estate agent, and now you're a big champion for Real Broker. But that being said, for the folks that are interested in knowing like what's the capacity of YouTube or what has YouTube done for you, what would you say is like your high watermark in terms of transactions closed or deal closed or volume, or what was your high watermark as far as real estate production when you were doing that as your number one thing?
I'll tell you kind of like my journey on YouTube. So, as you pointed out, like I consider myself like I've been a full-time YouTuber. I've been on YouTube for about 12 years now. My biggest channel is called Survival No, an outdoor camping enthusiast channel. I got that up to 180,000 subscribers. I got it up to making $10,000 a month ad revenue and affiliate marketing just from that channel. And so I do kind of consider myself like I was a full-time YouTuber. I still kind of am a full-time content creator at this point. For me, I got kind of burnt out doing that full time. I was doing 2 videos a week and I was living alone at the time after my divorce, and I just got so lonely and there's no community or anything. And so I've really focused more on my real estate business and Real Broker. I have my real estate channel. I got that up to 27,000 subscribers, all organic. Before I got bored with that, kind of walked away from that. And then today I'm really focused on really like educating real estate agents about Real Broker. And I use YouTube to do that. And so I'm still using it for lead generation today. Just the leads that I'm generating are real estate agents rather than consumers. And as far as my kind of high watermark in my YouTube for my real estate, the most I've done is 30 deals a year. All of that's all from YouTube, 100% organic. And that was just my 3rd year in the business. I did 30 deals all from YouTube. And today I'm using it for agent attraction. In the last 12 months, I've had 200 calls with real estate agents. All of them have found me from YouTube. And then I like YouTube a lot. And I also really like blogging and writing articles. And I think there's a lot of synergy between those two, which I could dive into. I really look at myself as a content creator. And the content I really like to focus on right now is long form articles and YouTube videos.
That's really interesting because I think a lot of folks are fixated on video as being the primary medium to communicate. But I think that there's probably something really important between the commonality of blogging and YouTube. Maybe could you talk about that at like a high level first? Like why strategically would YouTube and blogging specifically be beneficial for a real estate agent to get into?
Yeah, absolutely. So, they say that YouTube is the 2nd largest search engine in the world. And so there's a lot of value to put content out there and get it to rank in search. Now, a quick side note, there's 3 sources of views on YouTube. You have browse, which is like the home screen. You have suggested video, which is the videos that get suggested when you're watching something else. And then you have search. Search is actually the smallest source of views on YouTube out of those 3. Yeah. But nonetheless, it's still the 2nd largest search engine in the world. The largest search engine in the world, of course, is Google. And one of the benefits to videos is that they often rank on the first page of Google as well. And once I kind of learned the YouTube algorithm, like I know it very well, now say it's more of an AI than an algorithm, but it's just whatever you want to call it. There are a lot of similarities between that algorithm and the Google algorithm to rank articles and rank websites. So one, like the Google is almost certainly looking at the click-through rate of if they show your title of your article, what percentage of people actually click on it. Another thing they look at is how long do people spend on the actual article? Are they spending 30 seconds and backing out? Or are they spending 5 minutes, 10 minutes on that article? That's an important metric for the articles as well. Another one is what they call bounce rate. So are they going to the one article and bouncing out? Or are they going to that article and then going to another one and clicking on multiple pages? YouTube looks at that as well. Are they watching one of your videos and then watching another one and another one? It's a really good sign there. And so for me, once I kind of figured out the YouTube algorithm, started trying to learn the Google algorithm, I say that there's a lot of synergy between the two because what I find is best practice is if I want to create a video, I'm going to actually write a full-blown article for that video first about the exact same topic. And what this allows me to do is really get my thoughts out there, really research it. And when I create the article, I embed links to all my sources. I'll sometimes create custom graphics. And by the time I'm finished that article, I know that topic incredibly well. And what I tell people is if you're going to create an outline for a video, you might as well just write an article about it. An outline for a video with all the exact same information, it's like 80% of the way there to just being a full-blown article. And so I like to write the article first, and then I use that as my outline to film the video. After I publish the video, I then embed the video in the article. And this is really important because, like I said, that one of the metrics it looks at is how long do they spend on that page. And if somebody clicks on your article and you got a 20-minute long video and they sit there and watch the entire 20 minutes of that video, all Google sees is, wow, they clicked on this article and they spent 20 minutes there. This is really important. And so I try to embed, I find any excuse to embed multiple videos in articles. So there's just a lot of synergy there. And I have a lot of search terms where, let's say my article will rank number one in Google search, and then my video will also rank on the first page of Google, maybe a few lines down. For me, like getting an article to rank number one in Google for a powerful search term, of course, there's a lot of value in that.
One of the things that I'm thinking about, if I'm an agent listening and I'm wondering whether or not this is a strategy that I want to pursue, what I'm hearing for the moment is, oh my gosh, there's a lot of work. I remember going to grad school, making an outline, citing my sources, putting together basically what would otherwise be a long script for a video, and then recording the video, then editing that, then putting those together on a web page. It sounds like there's a lot of work involved. But I want to go back to kind of the benefit of that is, in my mind, what you're saying is that because Google is the largest search engine, because YouTube is the second largest search engine, the people that are going to be finding your content are folks who have a high degree of intent to get the information that you're providing. Maybe the question is, how does that high intent translate to your experience as a real estate agent when you're actually fielding those leads?
Yeah, absolutely. It's similar to the difference between Facebook leads and Google pay-per-click leads, right? Facebook leads, people are just browsing and they're like, oh, hey, here's some ad. Let me just click on it. And they say that Facebook, you have less than a 1% conversion rate if you're running Facebook ads. Google pay-per-click leads, though, they're actually searching Maryland homes for sale. They have that higher intent. Those types of leads generally have a much higher conversion rate. They cost a little bit more, though. And so it's very similar that people are searching for information. And if you can be that person that provides that information, you're providing a lot of value to them. It's not just about providing value. You also need to build a relationship with them as well. That is where the videos come in. If I just had an article and it's just like written by an anonymous person, like there is no relationship there. But when I have the article and I have the video is how they are building that relationship with me. And the article is just a way for me to provide more value to them. And absolutely, you can get in front of like some very motivated buyers, whatever, that are looking for specific information. And I'm always reminded of a quote that the harder something is to do, the less competition you have. And a lot of the stuff that I do, I focus on long form content. I like writing 1,000 to 5,000 word articles and making 45-minute long videos about a topic, whether that topic is the ultimate relocation guide to Annapolis, Maryland, or it's Real versus EXP versus LPT costs and fees. I like doing deep dives into them because nobody else is doing that. And because I know that the Google algorithm and the YouTube algorithm really value that longer form content today. That's what they're really pushing for, is how do we keep people time on brand? How do we keep people on these pages longer? Yeah, and so for me, I like doing the long form content. And I know that the trend right now is TikTok videos and Instagram Reels. I know a lot of people who do that stuff at a very high level, and it generates very little leads. That's the truth. It's kind of the hot thing. It's having a moment. Everybody's talking about TikTok and this kind of stuff, but it's not the most effective thing for lead generation. And I would much prefer having one really high value 45-minute long video compared to having 45 1-minute shorts or 1-minute Instagram reels. Like that 45-minute long video is going to provide more value and it's build more relationship and be far more effective at lead generation, in my opinion.
That totally makes a lot of sense to me because, as you're saying, you need to provide value, one, to create some level of reciprocity within the person that is receiving the information, but two, as a real estate agent, people need to trust you. So you've got to develop that personal rapport. You've got to get people comfortable with you. And if they're watching your video for 45 minutes, and even better, watching 2, 3, 4, 5 45-minute videos about what it's like to live in Annapolis or DC or Bethesda or wherever you're serving within Maryland, then they now not only know that you're an expert, but they know that they like your cadence, they kind of like your personality, they trust you. And especially, I suppose, in a relocation situation, they don't know 15, 20 other agents that are, in Maryland. You're going to have so much rapport built up prior to that first contact that the whole way going forward from that is going to be really, really easy. It sounds to me like this kind of strategy works really well for the person who is willing to dig the well before they're thirsty, wanting for a lead generation source in which they get someone who already likes them, essentially get the quality of a referral without necessarily relying on somebody else to feed that to them. And that sounds like, to me, the majority of real estate agents, because in my experience, the majority of real estate agents are not the hard-nosed salespeople that want to follow up with leads 20 times and, hunt them down and have that low degree of trust when they're going through this big transaction. Most of us want the kind of quality of lead that what you're saying, YouTube and blogging provides.
Yeah. And I'd say this is maybe the highest quality lead. I'd say it's on par with a personal referral. Like if a past client gave you a referral, it's on par with that quality. These are leads that they want to work with you. And they get so excited about hopping on a call with you. And they're like, oh my God, I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity. And oh my God, I was just watching your videos and now I'm talking to you. That's so crazy. They say things like that all the time. It really is the highest quality. It's all about building a personal brand. This is how we're going to compete with Zillow, right? With Zillow, they just want you to be a faceless real estate agent that you're a dime a dozen and they can give this lead to any number of 100 agents in your area. You're just there to open doors. And how do we compete with that? We build a personal brand and we build relationships and we provide value that Zillow really can't provide. They can't create YouTube videos for every single market and provide that local insight that only a local resident can provide. And I'd say today, it's more important than ever for agents to have a personal brand of their own, something that they actually own.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing too is that there's a big delta between what they have and what they need. So in other words, if there's someone who's coming from out of the area, we're in a park, all these different places have their own nuances. And so they have this huge knowledge gap that they've got to then cover. And so you as an agent, you're not only providing the real estate expertise, but you're also providing that market knowledge that they need in order to make a good informed decision. So I think that really also helps the quality of the client, because if you're working with someone who's flipped 10 homes in the past, they feel like they've been through this a million times and they're like, I barely even need a real estate agent. That's not a good client to have, because that's the person that's probably going to cut you down their commission. They're not going to value you. They're going to be close to firing you at any stage of the game. But if you've got somebody that really appreciates what you know, that's a great situation. That being said, one objection that's kind of creeping up into my mind that I think a lot of people would have is, how do I know whether or not my market would be a good market for YouTube? Because, for instance, if you're not near a naval base where you've got people coming in and out on a regular basis, you're not near DC or Baltimore or Annapolis where people are constantly coming in, you're in some, smaller market or whatever, does this strategy work for a certain type of market, or is it something that works across markets? What's been your experience?
Yeah, I would say it works in every market. Now, if you're in a rural part and you have 1,000 people that live in your town, obviously it's going to be a little bit more challenging than if you have a bigger population, right? Not as many people searching for that. But in every market, YouTube can absolutely be used for lead generation. And what I tell a lot of people too is that there are other benefits besides lead generation. So even if you go 6 months, you don't generate any leads from it, there's still value in it. One, you can use these videos to increase your lead conversion and build deeper relationships with your clients. So if you get an agent referral or a Google pay-per-click lead, and let's say you talk to them and they're like, yeah, I'm thinking I'm moving to St. Mary's County, but I don't really know the area that well. You'd be like, great, here's my videos talking about the 5 biggest cities and where to move in St. Mary's County. And here's my video talking about my favorite parks in St. Mary County. Here's my video talking about the cost of living in St. Mary's County versus Charles County. It's showing that you are absolutely an authority and an expert on this information. And these things will absolutely increase your lead conversion. So look at the videos as a tool you can use to increase your lead conversion. And so even if it's slow to generate leads or not as effective, there's still tons of value in creating YouTube videos like this that you can use as tools in your business.
100% agree. And I also think that the locals love it too. is that my channels are, for the most part, focused on my local community. And whenever they see their little park that they thought only they really like, or their local restaurant where they thought that was just their favorite place, and they see it kind of like raised up on this pedestal of social media and being well covered, they feel really proud about that and they're appreciative of that. And they see you as like the local person championing their local area. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of benefits to it, as you're saying.
Absolutely. Just like people get excited about being on a podcast, like, wow, this is such an honor. This is so cool. I watch podcasts. Now I'm on a podcast. People get really excited when they see like a YouTube video on their TV of their local area. And they're like, oh, I know that restaurant. I know that school. I go to that dog park. So absolutely. It's just really building a deeper relationship with your local residents as well. There's tons of value in doing YouTube videos outside of just lead generation.
Well, if we haven't convinced you strategically on why you need to do YouTube, then go ahead and pop off now. But if this sounds like a good strategy, let's go ahead and talk now about the more tactical side of things. So for somebody who's hearing this so far and they're like, okay, this sounds really good. I can get a lot of leads. I got a huge net that's funneling people in my area. They're going to be high intent. They're going to be quality. They're going to know who I am, and they're going to trust me straight out the gate. How many videos do I need to make in order to start seeing some kind of results? Like, what's the volume of production and work do you think someone should expect to make before they start seeing some results?
What I tell people, just remember this is a marathon, not a sprint. And it can take 4 to 6 months before you start actually generating leads, just to kind of set that expectation. Some people I know generating leads within a month. Some people I know it's even longer, because in some markets, there may be 10 YouTube channels all making the exact same content in the exact same market. So if there's nobody in your market really doing this, or there's somebody but you think you can do it better, like you could generate leads a lot quicker. If you're in like Phoenix, Arizona, and there's 15, 20 agents making YouTube videos, it's a bit of an uphill battle there. What I tell people, if they're in a really competitive market like that, there's actually kind of a newer style channel. So there's a couple of different channels that work for real estate agents. One is going to be the local informational channel, which is what, I feel like I helped pioneer that model in 2017, 18, 19. And another one that's kind of being pioneered right now by other agents in this industry is going to be the listing video channels. And I feel like this model really interests me, and it's kind of the new frontier, and it's kind of the new digital land grab of now who can be the first listing video channel in their market. And we're still kind of establishing what the best practices are with that, but there are a lot of agents having a lot of success. What I tell people is, if you kind of miss the boat on being an educational channel, you have a lot of competition, you don't have that first mover advantage, somebody else has that, maybe try having first mover advantage with being the first listing video channel in your market. That's a whole different best practices with that. And I'll just say, like, that one works particularly well if you have a lot of new construction in your area specifically.
Yeah. So that's good to know. So basically, you're saying that there's essentially two major categories. You have the local, community tours, things of that, local information, and then you've got listing videos. But I know since you've done a lot of the former, let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about that. Let's say someone's digging their well for 4 to 6 months and before they start seeing any results. And because maybe they've noticed that either the people who are doing YouTube in their area right now aren't doing it at a super high level, or they think that they've got something unique to add to what is currently being done, and they want to go ahead and do that local informational type of channel, what are the types of videos that they should focus on first?
I would say videos about moving to or living in your area. So these kind of like relocation style or guide style videos. And what I've found is that those are the two terms that people search for. Moving to Maryland, living in Charles County, moving to Lesby. Like, this is what people are actually searching for. And I like those words because it is pretty accurate. And so make videos about everything that somebody want to know about moving to or living in those areas. So example, you could do pros and cons of living in Lesby, Maryland. 10 things I wish I knew before moving to St. Mary's County. The 5 things you must know before moving to Maryland, the true cost of living in Southern Maryland. So there's a lot of different types of videos you can, but having those words, moving to or living in, like that, those are the most effective videos at generating leads. Because like you said, you're targeting the exact person with the highest intent to actually buy a home. There's other videos you can make that are targeting people with a little less intent. I have a video, top 10 abandoned places in Maryland. It has 180,000 views on it. Now, the people watching that, they're not necessarily a high intent of buying a home, but they live in Maryland. And so completely for free, I got to get in front of 180,000 Maryland residents and say, hey, my name is Malcolm Lawson. I'm a local real estate agent. Happy to help you buy or sell a home here. That model of doing more broad stuff, not as effective, I don't think. So I would say start with the moving to and living in style videos.
Great. And I will just say, as a quick aside, we're going to get into some more tactical tips and strategies. But if you are interested in learning like really in depth, there's lots of communities within Real Academy at Real that are going to be able to dive into all these things deeper. So in this video, just kind of like go into this knowing that you're going to get a good taste for what to do and what to maybe avoid and how you can go about doing this. But in order to really implement this, just kind of know you're probably going to want to go into Real Academy and learn from Malcolm about how to do certain things, learn from the other agents within Real Academy. We're all kind of chipping in there. So I'll just say that as an aside. So if you feel overwhelmed when you hear this, know that there's more resources available.
So I actually taught a class. I teach a class every single month in the Real Academy all about YouTube. And I taught one yesterday all about how to build a local audience specifically. So this exact type of channel you're talking about. And if you don't mind, I actually made a list of like 10 buckets of content that people can use for their local channels. So if you're looking for ideas for your channels, these are buckets of content, which is a kind of YouTube trend. It's more like a series on your channel. And so just some ideas. One, you can do like local news stories. You can be kind of like breaking news. Hey, this is a new development. You can make videos about that. Neighborhood and area tours, I think still work very well for generating leads. Those are very effective and very low competition. You probably don't have a lot of people doing that. Interviews can sometimes work. If you get a high profile person like the mayor, for example, on your channel, which I know people have gotten the mayors on their YouTube channels, that can work. But also interviewing locals, right? If you went to a public attraction and like, hey, I'm going to interview 10 locals and just ask them, what's your favorite thing about living in St. Mary's County? Like that could be an entire video, just a compilation right there. So interviews can work, kind of a man on the street style. I do like that. You have the moving to and living in style videos. You can do home tours occasionally. My rule is if you're doing a lot of home tours, put it on a separate YouTube channel. Generally, it's a separate audience, but it is okay to occasionally do a home tour on a local informational channel. It's not going to hurt it that much. But what I actually prefer is if you can find a way to integrate a home tour into a different type of video. So maybe you're doing a neighborhood tour and you can kind of integrate a home tour into one of these neighborhood tours to kind of show what's available. But occasionally doing a home tour, I think okay. Doing a market update video about, hey, this is what the real estate market's doing here in St. Mary's County. Now, here's the thing with market update videos. If you just do St. Mary's County market update as the title, that's incredibly boring and people aren't going to click on that. You have to kind of disguise your market update video. So it is definitely okay to talk about the numbers and the stats around your real estate market. But what I tell people is find one interesting stat and then kind of hype it up in the title and the thumbnail. You know, you could say St. Mary's County's home sales are stagnant because maybe one of the stats is like, hey, you know, homes aren't selling very quickly. St. Mary's County homes are taking twice as long to sell because maybe the days on market got longer. You do have to kind of spice up market update videos, but I think it's fine to do those. Cost of living videos, I think still do really well. Top 10 lists, like I was talking about, top 10 parks in St. Mary counties, top 10 beaches, top 10 abandoned places in Maryland. Comparison videos do really well. So St. Mary County versus Charles County versus, you know, St. Mary's versus,
fights that way.
Yeah, you know, and doing a side-by-side comparison. Do compare the types of homes, the cost of being there, the amenities in there. And then I also kind of like vlogs every now and then as well. I used to find local parks or local attractions, and I'd go film like a vlog with my phone, just kind of walking around that park with my family and feature my family. Those aren't necessarily going to like build you an audience, but they're good at providing more value and building a deeper relationship with the audience that you already have. I'd say those are kind of like 10 buckets for content on a local channel.
Yeah, and that's perfect because I think that for people who are listening to this, they're probably going to hear 2 or 3 different types of those content, you know, those content buckets and say, I'd like doing that. Like I could see myself doing that. That would be interesting not only to me, but I already know that it's going to be interesting to my audience. And so they can just take that and run. So that's really helpful. One of the questions that I was going to ask you, which I'll probably not ask directly, would be, well, how do you go about filming those videos? Because some of them, I guess, are going to be indoors in our home offices like we're in right now. Some of those are going to be out in the street. So maybe that might not be it's going to be dependent upon what type of video you choose. So with that being said, I'll kind of adjust this a little bit and say, it doesn't matter what type of equipment that you're using. I know that for somebody like yourself who's been in the industry for a long time, you probably know that there's a huge range. Somebody who's starting out, what's like the minimum viable equipment that they need in order to be successful?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. Oftentimes when people talk about getting on YouTube, they get overwhelmed and they get analysis paralysis and they want to take a deep dive into all this stuff. They think they need to make a big investment and you don't. What I tell people is just start building that momentum, and you can absolutely film your videos with this phone. What I usually like to do is I do have a fancy camera, but I bought this exact camera in 2019. So it's 5 years old and it's perfectly fine. And I like filming the kind of the meat and potatoes of my videos here in my YouTube studio, because I know that the lighting looks good. I know that the audio looks good. I know that it's all set up. I just need to sit down and film, and I can have my computer screen right here as well with my notes on it. And then I go around and I film the B-roll with my phone. And the B-roll is kind of like the supplemental content that you play over top of your talking head content. And I have a fancy camera, and I have a $500 heavy gimbal for my fancy camera. Yeah. I hate using that thing. It is so inconvenient and so complicated. They say that we have smartphones, but we have dumb cameras, right? Our cameras, everything's manual. You have to adjust it. It's so inconvenient versus this. The stabilization on this is amazing. I get much smoother shots using this phone, and I'd say the quality is probably 90% of what I would get with my fancy camera, but it takes far less time to get it to work, and it's just more convenient, more effective by just using this. And I don't think it really detracts from the video at all. So I tell people use this, and if you're just getting started, you absolutely can get good quality talking head videos out of your phone as well. And you can even get free editing software like CapCut as well. Yep. You can film the talking head with this, edit in the B-roll footage, and publish the video all for free using CapCut on your phone, and just get started. Then use Canva, the free version of Canva, to create a decent thumbnail, which you absolutely can.
And don't use the paid version of those things. It's only $20.
Right. Super cheap.
I'm not talking about anything crazy.
The barrier to entry is a lot smaller than what people think it is, but people get a little overwhelmed sometimes with this. And I say just start and start building that momentum. And here's the truth. Your first 10 YouTube videos, they're not going to be very good. Yeah. But your 11th video is going to be pretty good. And your 12th video is going to be even better. Your 13th is going to be even better. But you have to get through those first 10 bad videos before you can start getting to those good videos.
I think that makes a lot of sense, and that should be very encouraging. And on my part, I've run a media and marketing company for 7 years. And so I'm used to using a $2,500 camera and a $1,500 gimbal and a drone and using Premiere Pro and all of the typical softwares. And I always kind of looked at people running around with their phones and the phone gimbal and the CapCut editing. And I always figured that it was just going to be not nearly as good. But as of last year, I was like, you know what? Let me just see if it's a little bit easier to do things on my phone. And sure enough, I now don't even use my professional equipment. I'm using my webcam on my computer. I use my iPhone. I've got a phone gimbal, which is fantastic, $180 to keep the footage super smooth. And yeah, CapCut is so amazing. The editing software of CapCut on your phone is so good. It makes using Premiere just not necessary.
I'm with you.
I think we killed
the entry is so low right now. I've been using Adobe Premiere and Photoshop for years. I've always had fancy camera equipment, and I was kind of resistant. I was I was resistant because I was so dug in. I spent so much time learning these software, and I have to kind of accept that nowadays I actually use Canva for a lot of things. I know Photoshop really well, but it's just so much easier to use the free version of Canva if I want to create a graphic or a chart or something like that. And our phones, it's amazing. It's amazing how the quality of our phones, our phones today are the equivalent of a $4,000 camera just 5 years ago.
100%.
Yeah. And in the end, it's the content that matters the most, not the quality of the video. You have to have good content. Don't worry too much about your camera equipment and make excuses why you're not starting today. Just start today.
Couldn't agree more. So I would say, just to kind of recap, I think that the YouTube strategy is wonderful. It's scalable. It's going to get really high quality leads. The tactical side of it, there's information more that I'll link in the description below, so that way you can reach out to Malcolm about that. And then also the barrier to entry in terms of equipment, to film, the editing software, to do the back end, super reasonable, super doable. One of the last things that I want to ask you, though, is about your transition to Real. So I know that you were with some other brokerage prior to. What were some of the things that drew you to Real, and how has that transition helped you in your real estate career going forward now?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I got out of the military in 2017 and I joined Keller Williams Realty, and I love Gary Keller and really have a lot of respect for him. Pretty early on, I got connected with a group of agents who are also really focused on video and social media and content creation. And it's in this Facebook group called RETV, so Real Estate TV. And I made a lot of friends there that are in this same space. And in 2021, a lot of my friends that are focused on content creation came over to Real. I really respect a lot of these people like Tim Macy, Brad McCallan, Jeremy Knight. And so I was like, okay, let me actually take a look at this. And for me, a big part of me coming over to Real was the community, and being in a community of like-minded creators, people that are innovating and pioneering and figuring out what is actually working today in 2024, and openly sharing that with the community. And community is really important to me. It keeps me motivated, keeps me inspired, it keeps me moving forward. I love collaborating. I love masterminding with people. I just get a lot of value out of that. And I think that Real has such a strong sense of community, and it's a community really focused around content creation. A lot of content creators are here at Real. So that was kind of the biggest thing that brought me over here in the first place.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think that when you get that, like, so many people in the same room that are all going after a similar thing, but are able to solve that problem of getting clients and building their business through those modern, scalable techniques that are working today, iron sharpens iron. Everybody seems to get better. People talk, in other words, about community in a lot of other brokerages and a lot of other situations. What do you think is making Real's community effective?
So one of the interesting things about our business model is that Real Broker gives away more free stock in the company than any other company out there. And they give away more revenue share than any other company out there to the agents at the company. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that has such a big impact on the culture, on the community, on the training that we have at this company, because we are all owners in this company. I was saying that I was teaching a class, and I teach a class every month in the Real Academy. And why do I do that? Because I'm an owner in this company, and because I like rev share, and I want to help this company grow. I genuinely want to provide as much value as I can and see this company thrive and flourish and grow, because I'm an owner in it. And it's so interesting that everybody has that perspective. It's not that we work for a company. We are owners in this company, and it completely changes everything. And it has such a big impact on the culture, community, and training that we have here.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that because just very kind of nuanced thing about Real is that we aren't able to provide anything of value, right, in order for someone to come into Real and list us as their sponsor. If we're going to provide something, we have to provide it to the entire community. And so that type of collaborative spirit, I don't think it just happens in any culture or any company. It is there because it's there by design. And so could you speak a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, at Real, you get access to all the top agents. It's not just the top agent that you put as your sponsor. Get access to everybody's training and resources, and everybody gets access to me as well, right? I do this monthly class. You can watch all my replays of all my classes and trainings. I'm very active in the community as well, and everybody else is as well. And I love that sense of collaboration. Sharon, the president of Real Broker, often says collaboration over competition, and it provides more value to the agents joining, in my opinion, that they get full access to everybody's stuff, not just the stuff in their particular upline. And it just has a huge impact on the culture and community that we're all in this together. We have one Real, one community. I love that sense of collaboration that we have here. That community and collaboration are really important to me.
I wholeheartedly agree, because we've all been in brokerages in which the office was the only source of collaboration, or maybe in other brokerages where our group or our silo was the only form of collaboration. Just like yourself, for me, being able to collaborate and have the entire brokerage to work with and help each other out, like that was a big deciding factor for me as well. So I really appreciate you sharing so much about your YouTube strategy, how to help folks get new clients, and also sharing some of your insight into Reel and why you ended up making the decision to go there. And, for the folks that are watching this and they're interested in learning more about how to do lead generation through YouTube, or they want to learn more about this community and what we're building with Reel, I'm going to link his contact information in the description below for those resources. And if you want to reach out to him, definitely do that. And then same for myself. If you want to talk to me about Reel or any of the things that I'm talking about, my contact details will be below too. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, man, I love this, the collaborating with you, man. I really appreciate you having me on. And like I said, collaboration is really important. I think rising tide lifts all ships. And I think it's core values of the company is something that's really important to me as well. And I think like we're demonstrating those core values right now, man. So I really appreciate, you having me on your channel, and I look forward to growing Reel with you.
Awesome. Well, pleasure's mine. Been great to have you. And again, thanks for your time.